Hello, Grand Archive players. Let's answer a rules question. How does Interdiction work? And what does Fu Awakening do? Fu Awakening is currently the only card in Grand Archive with the Interdiction keyword. Interdiction is a very unique and easily misunderstood effect, so let's take a look at it. But before we do that, let's review how Opportunity works. Players need Opportunity in order to play cards and activate abilities, which are added to the effect stack. I'll call doing this actively adding to the stack, as opposed to triggered abilities, which I'll say are passively added to the stack. The turn player gets Opportunity first by default, and Opportunity is provided in certain phases and steps of each turn. In order for the game to proceed to the next phase or step, or for anything on the effect stack to resolve, each player must pass Opportunity in succession on that stack item. If each player does, that stack item will resolve. If anything else is added to the stack, each player must again pass Opportunity on the new item in order for it to resolve. And once something on the stack resolves, each player will again get Opportunity and must all pass it before that thing can resolve. By default, the turn player will get Opportunity first in each round of Opportunity. There is an exception to this. If a player actively adds something to the stack, they regain Opportunity first. Taking consecutive actions in this way is referred to as holding Opportunity. Players will continue adding to the stack and passing Opportunity until the stack is empty, at which point the current step or phase will end and proceed to the next one. In certain phases or steps, there will be one last round of Opportunity on an empty stack before proceeding. Let's look at an example. It's player A's main phase. As the turn player, they have Opportunity by default. They activate Fireball. Since player A just put this on the stack, they get Opportunity again and may perform another action if they want to. However, holding Opportunity in this way is uncommon. Note that Opportunity only goes back to the player if they actively add to the stack. For example, if player B had a triggered ability at this time, Opportunity still goes back to player A. Player A passes Opportunity, and now player B may respond. If player B passes Opportunity here, the topmost item on the stack, in this case Fireball, will immediately begin to resolve. Note that player A would not get Opportunity in that situation again after having just passed it. Let's say player B activates the ability of Enfeebling Orb. Again, player B gets Opportunity back, but they pass it. Player A has no responses and passes Opportunity. Since all players have passed Opportunity, the top item on the stack, Enfeebling Orb's effect, resolves. Fireball is once again the top item on the stack, and players get Opportunity again, starting with player A, the turn player. They pass. B activates Frostbind, targeting Fireball, and passes. A passes. Frostbind now resolves. Depending on what player A does during this resolution, Fireball may be negated and removed from the stack. Once the stack is empty, depending on the current phase or step of the turn, the game will either move to the next phase or step, or offer one final round of Opportunity to both players before moving on. Interdiction is a static ability that says, as long as this card's activation is on the effect stack, players can't have or gain Opportunity. This ability only functions while that card activation is on the stack. So, when a player activates Fu Awakening and adds it to the stack, neither player gets Opportunity. In essence, this means that no player can respond to the activation by actively adding to the stack. However, any passively triggered abilities will still be added to the stack automatically without player input. Since neither player can take actions, the topmost item on the stack will resolve without player intervention until Fu Awakening leaves the stack, most likely by resolving. Once Fu resolves, it will no longer be on the stack and Interdiction will no longer be in effect. Players will once again regain Opportunity, starting with the turn player, and be able to respond to anything that was below Fu Awakening on the stack still pending resolution. The Interdiction ability is the only effect of Fu Awakening that isn't restricted as a CL champion bonus. Therefore, if a non-CL champion plays Fu Awakening, it will simply be a zero-cost fast action spell with Interdiction. No player can respond to it, but it won't do anything as it resolves, and players will resume normal Opportunity after it leaves the stack. Let's assume that a player activates Fu Awakening and also controls a CL champion, in which case Fu Awakening does 3 more things. Firstly, it causes them to discard all cards in their hand and memory. Next, it will banish 2 cards from the player's graveyard and put omen counters on them. If the player controls CL, Mirage's Grave, his ability will trigger twice, but these triggers are not put on the stack until Fu Awakening is done. Note that the discarded cards are in the graveyard and may be chosen as omens, but Fu itself is still resolving on the stack and cannot itself be turned into an omen this way. Lastly, for the rest of the turn, card activations of that player cannot be negated. Fu itself is difficult to negate due to interdiction, but this effect protects currently pending and future card activations from being negated. It does not prevent anything that's not a negation from happening to those activations, however. Fu Awakening has now fully resolved and moves off the stack into its owner's graveyard, at which point the game performs state-based checks, including putting CL level 3 triggers onto the stack, and players regain opportunity as normal to respond to the rest of the stack, starting with the turn player. In the situation where a player activates a card that requires some aspect of the resolution of Fu Awakening, such as the discard effect or omen creation effect, this is an instance that might warrant holding opportunity. For example, let's say player A activates Baleful Oblation with no omens. If they pass opportunity and player B passes opportunity, Baleful Oblation will begin to resolve. Since player A has no omens, this is probably an undesirable result for them. Instead, player A can activate Baleful Oblation, hold opportunity, then activate Fu Awakening. As Fu Awakening resolves, it will discard player A's hand and memory and create 2 omens, then leave the stack. Now when Baleful Oblation resolves, it will check player A's omens for its effect. I hope this helps with your understanding of this card. That's all for this video. Thanks for watching.